I'm ready.
So today we're going to finish that discussion of looking at that systems of three equations and looking at that curve and seeing if we can figure out the equation for that curve. You don't like the voice today?
No.
All right, I'll stop. No. So, kind of hard to read, but I'll rewrite the points for us, but I'll go through the, it's like I can never quite get it full screen for you guys. That's a little better. So we're going to look at a quadratic function, and we know that a quadratic shapes like a parabola. So we know we have a quadratic, and our quadratic's going to give us that U shape. And they gave us 3 points in which our quadratic is going to go through. And it's one thing to sit there and use that graphing application to plot those 3 points, but then you're just going through a whole guess and check system to get it to match up perfectly. And sometimes that's really time consuming. So we can actually look at our equation of a quadratic, right, and those 3 points, and we can actually turn this into a cute little system. You believe me? All right.
Is it an X or a Z?
Oh, I'm going to get to. So our points were 1, 0, 2, 5. I guess I could put commas there. I'm comma happy today. And 3, 12, right? And when it comes to our equation, equation of a quadratic, we can go with that ax squared plus bx plus c equals y, right? That's in that standard form for a quadratic, right? So when it comes to our 3 points, if we were just to look at the first point, that 1 and 0, what does that 1 and 0 represent? X and Y, right? So I can take this 1 point and I can plug it into my equation for X and Y, and it's going to give me one equation. And then guess what I'm going to do with this second point? I'm going to plug it in for X and Y, and I'm going to get a second equation.
Wait. And then you're going to get a third equation, and then you're going to solve them.
And then we're going to solve them, right? Because now we're to where we have a system of equations.
That's crazy how that just adds together.
Isn't it? It's like, whoa, this is so cool. All right, so let's start off with that first point, that 1, 0, right? So we're going to plug it into our equation. So we don't know what A is, right? And our X is 1 squared, just to write it off the long way for right now, right? Plus B times our X is 1, and we don't know our C, and our Y equals 0. Right? Good so far? We'll clean them up here in a second. Right? And then on our second point, our 2, 5, they're giving us our X's and our Y's again. So we don't know our A. Our X is 2 squared plus B times X, which is our 2. We don't know anything about C, and we know that our our Y is going to equal 5, right? And then on that third point, that 3, 12, we can plug that in. We don't know A. 3 squared, yep. Times 3, yeah. You're all right. We don't know anything about C, and that's going to equal our Y value, which is 12. Oops. Right? So we can just kind of go through and clean this up, right? If we look at that very first equation.
So why can't you just look and be like, there's C's in all of them? Is it because they're all positive and they can't cancel out? Or can you add them together?
Well, we don't know anything about C because C is that constant term. So when it comes to those points are only X's and Y's. But when it comes to the equation of a quadratic, right, technically that C is that y-intercept. So in order to have C, our x's would have to be 0, right? So I'm just going to clean up our little equations. So our first one, we're going to get what? A plus B plus C equals 0. Right. Our second one, 2 squared, so 4A plus 2B plus C equals 5. Which one?
So back on like the first equation, where did the squared go?
What's 1 squared? 1. 1 times A is 1.
Okay.
Yeah, I just didn't write the 1 in front. You can write the 1 in front by all means if you want to. Yep. I was trying to save some ink. Thank you for laughing. And then what are we going to get for our last equation? 3 squared is, yeah, plus 3B C equals 12. Okay. And then now we're on a system of equations that we've been rocking out, right? So first thing we got to do is we got to pick we got to figure out which variable we want to eliminate, all right? So if I look at A, B, and C, what do you think is going to be the easiest to start eliminating? C, all right? Because the only thing you got to do is go through and multiply by a negative. Yes?
Okay, so when you're adding these up, you're adding so like for the second one, you're adding the 4 and the 2 and then the 1 in front of the C?
Yeah, because my x was 2, right? So in my equation, I put x was 2, right, which gives me my 2 squared. And what's 2 squared? 4, right?
Yeah, when they're next to each other, it just means that you're multiplying.
And then you add those up to get the equal 5?
It always equals my y value, right? This is my x, this is my y. Because that's a point. So in your point, these are all x's and y's. Right? So then I'm just picking so if I looked at the second point, I'm taking that second point and I'm putting it into that equation.
Okay.
Right? So all of my x's are now going to be a 2, right? And my y is going to be a 5, right?
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep. On this one, all of my x's are going to become
3,
and all of my y's are going to become a
12.
Yep. Right? So then when I put the 3 in, 3 squared is 9, right? And then you would have 3b, and we don't know anything about c. And my y is going to be 12. Does that work?
Yeah.
See it now? All right.
And then you go to solve it.
Yep, so now we're going to solve for c. So which 2 equations do you want to start with? 1, 2, and 3? Which 2?
1 and 2.
1 and 2, right? 1 and 2. So I'm going to change colors. So I got what? A plus B plus C equals 0. And 2 was 4A plus 2B plus C equals 5. Right? I'm going to scroll it up. So I know I want to get rid of C. So in order to get rid of C, I got to get one of these to be a negative C. So I just got to go through and multiply by a negative. So I can either multiply the top by a negative or I can do the bottom by a negative. Which one do you want? Top. So I'm going to multiply this whole entire top by negative 1, right?
That's accurate.
So now I have what? Negative A minus B minus C equals 0. Yeah. And then 4A plus 2B plus C equals 5.
So you just made it negative?
Yep.
So you made it negative
Hold on, guys.
the negative to cancel out?
Right. So now when you add these 2 equations together, you're eliminating your C.
Just say I thought C wasn't important though. You just, C was the y-intercept.
You still need to find your C in order to come up with that equation. Right? So what are we going to get? How many A's? 3 A's. Yep. How many B's?
1.
Yep. So positive 1, right? My C's are going to cancel, and that's going to equal
5.
5, right? So we're getting someplace. So now we need another equation where we have eliminated C. So we used 1 and 2, so what do you want to use for the second equation? Which 2? 1 and 3. I like that. Yep. So if I use 1 and 3, so 1, I got A plus B plus C equals 0. And then for 3, I have 9A plus 3B plus C equals 12. What are you going to do next? You sure?
Yeah. It's about my attendance is all.
So we know we want to eliminate C. So now we got a choice again, right? We got to make one of those C's negative. Do the top negative again. So I'm going to multiply everything on the top by -1. So negative A minus B minus C equals 0. And then my bottom's going to stay the same. 9A plus 3B plus C equals 12. If it helps, you can put that little plus in there if it makes you warm and fuzzy. How many A's do we have now?
8.
Yep, 8A. How many B's?
2.
Yep, a positive 2. How many C's?
1.
Good, yep. And how many whole numbers? 12. Right? So now we have 2 new equations. And those 2 equations don't have a C in there. So we're getting down, right? We just keep eliminating. We eliminated 1, so now we got to eliminate 1 more. So I'm going to rewrite those 2 equations down here. Woo.
There's way too many steps.
So what do I got? 3A plus B equals 5. And then we had 8A plus 2B equals 12. Yeah, yep. So you got to make that choice if you want A or B. I think eliminating B is going to be easier. Okay. So we got to look at these guys. So if I multiply the top by -2, then I can eliminate my B's. Okay. So I'm going to multiply the top, everything by -2. Okay. So I'm going to get what? -6A minus 2B equals -10. That's where, if anything, that's where a lot of mistakes get made, is we forget to multiply everything. So sometimes that does not get changed to a -10. So you got to make sure you're multiplying everything. That's probably like the biggest mistake people make.
I didn't really just
Did you? See? I know. Yep. Some people will actually sit there and be like, you know, times -2, times -2, times -2, and actually write it like on each one of the little pieces. Sometimes that helps to remind you to make sure you're multiplying everything by whatever it is you're multiplying, right? Plus 2B equals 12. How many A's do I have?
2.
Yep, 2 A's. How many B's?
No.
0, and that's going to equal 2. So what's my A going to equal? 1, right? So then now we just got to start working backwards, right? So we have our A equals 1. There you go. So then now I'm going to pick one of these 2 equations, right, to fill in my A so I can find my B. I'm going to go with that one, yeah. So 3 times, what was our A1? Yeah, plus B equals 5. 3 plus B equals 5. B is going to equal? 2, right?
Wait. So after we get like A,
Yep.
you go back to like the original.
Not the original, because the original had 3 variables. So you got to go back to one that's only got 2 variables in it.
And does it matter
Nope.
which one you pick?
Nope. You could pick this one or this one. Yep. Either one.
Okay.
Misfit.
Yep.
On average, how long does it take to do like one of these problems?
5 minutes.
Maybe 5, yeah. Yep. That's why you only had one of them.
Is there only gonna be
Yeah.
one on the
There's like
test?
Maybe. So now you have A and B, and what do you have to do?
Put them in, put them back.
Put them back in, right? So now you're gonna go back to those original three.
Very original.
Yep.
Then you have all three.
Because now you have three variables. And which one are we gonna pick? We're gonna pick the top one, right? A was 1 plus B plus C equals 0, right? So 3 plus C equals 0. C equals -3, right? So then last but not least, now we can actually write our equation, right? Our quadratic. So if we go back to our quadratic, right? What was our A? 1. So either write the 1 in there or don't write the 1 in there, right? X squared plus bx. What's our b? 2x, yeah, plus our c. And I'm just going to snack and make that as a -3, and that's going to equal our y.
Will we have problems with this on the test or just the regular?